Hello, hello. Look at all you guys right here on time and early. My goodness, you guys were waiting patiently, I guess. Well, welcome, welcome. Hopefully everybody is having a wonderful day today. Happy Monday. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Hopefully the sun is shining where you are. And we are gonna have some fun doing some nails today. Just getting my nail ready here. We'll give everybody another few minutes or so to jump in, get the message that we are going live today. Let's see who is with us here today. Island, nice to see you again today. Reagan, and let's see here. You guys sure were waiting for us. My goodness. Let's see. You guys, Isla was saying they were meant to go live like 10 minutes ago. I usually get my camera and everything set up about 10 minutes early just to make sure that everything is working just fine. But we usually will start right around 1:30 Pacific time. So don't worry if it says that we're gonna go live. We're gonna go live. That's just kind of a head start notification for you there. But let's see, Melinda, Janica, Zenaida, Miss Cheryl's Place, Donna Did It Nails. I love that name. That's fantastic. Is it Natia? Natia. Yeah, that sounds right. Team Stitch, Blue Star Top Nail. Hello, welcome everybody in. How are you today? Hopefully you're having a wonderful day. Okay, you guys, those of you that are with us already, I just want to ask and just respond really quick in the chat. How many of you guys are working along with me today? How many of you had gathered up all of your products and are going to be doing the nails with me today? Let me know in the chat if you're going to be doing that. I just want to see kind of where our audience is at here today. But it looks like we've got quite a few people joining us already, so we'll go ahead and get started. And let's see. Happy birthday to your sister. All right. So you guys, what I'm going to be doing today is, I know it's just the start of fall, but I feel like I'm kind of starting to get into that mode. So we're going to be doing a fall kind of a color design, and we'll start by pushing back those cuticles, and we will go through and prep that nail. Looks like most of you guys are just watching today, and that is fantastic as well. But those of you, if you do decide that you want to work along with me, I always put the products that I'm going to be using, I post that into our Discord. So if you guys join us on our Discord server, you can get that information so that you know what I'm going to be working with. So if you want to try the design along with me, I've seen quite a few people that have been doing that, and I love to see the results that you guys are getting as you're working along with me. So make sure to check out our Discord server, get all of that information, stay connected with us. And just went through and gently prepped our nail using our 150, actually this is a medium sanding band. So either the medium sanding band, or you guys can use a 150 grit hand file if you're not using the E-file just yet. But the E-file is going to be your best friend. So if you are a nail tech, or if you are planning to be a nail tech, I highly, highly, highly recommend using that E-file. It's going to make your life much easier. We'll just dust off this nail, get all of that dust off of there, and then we will grab our swipe. And swipe is, whoops, hang on one second here, let me readjust there. So swipe is our cleanser, and I'm just going to pump a little bit of that up into my brush, and then we'll clean the nail using that swipe. And the swipe is going to really help to pull out any of those extra oils that are on the nail, any surface contaminants, basically any kind of grunge that's on that nail. So any of those extra oils, any dust, any dirt, any germs, any bacteria, it's going to take care of all of that. Now you see where the swipe is still wet and where it has dried. You're going to wait until that nail has completely dried so you don't see any more moisture to that nail. And then we'll come in with our protein bond. And you guys, if you haven't seen it yet, we now have protein bond in the 1/2 ounce. We still have that smaller 1/4 ounce size, but now we have it in the 1/2 ounce. And I know a lot of you have been asking, is it still the same consistency? Is it still the same product? Because there had been a lot of talk previously that in bigger bottles, the protein bond didn't work very well, but we've gone through a whole bunch of testing. We found the proper packaging, we found the right bottle, the right seal. Everything is going to work really well in this larger size. So those of you that are working in salon all day, this is going to be your new best friend. So we're going to go to our protein bond, and we are going to, let me grab her nail here. We're going to apply 2 coats of our protein bond, and I usually start right in the center of that nail, working my way out to the sides and then back up to that cuticle area. And the reason that I start in the center and work out to the sides and back is so that I don't flood the nail. Okay? When I pick up my protein bond, I pick up the brush and then I'll tap out some of that extra. So again, I'm not going to flood that onto the nail, but there still is a significant amount into that brush. So when you put your second coat on, same thing. I'm going to start in the center and work back towards that cuticle and out to the side. So again, I'm not flooding that product onto the skin. Let's see, Jasmine's asking, what does protein bond do? That is a great question. Protein bond is our bonder, and it says non-acid adhesion, so we don't use a typical primer. Primers tend to have methacrylic acid to them, whereas protein bond does not have any acid to it. So protein bond works more like a double-sided tape, where it's going to stick down to that natural nail, but you can see it's going to leave a sticky surface on that nail. It doesn't dry back to that chalky look that it did after we cleansed it with the swipe. It's going to still remain sticky looking, so that way it's going to kind of anchor your product that you put onto that nail. It's going to anchor it down and, like I said, kind of work like a double-sided tape. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question, and that makes more sense as to what protein bond is and why we use it. Now I'm going to grab one of our forms because we're going to be sculpting our nail today, and you guys, you can use either the red forms or the blue forms, your call, depends on how long you want to create your nail. Today I'm going with the red forms. We're not going to do a crazy long nail. We did that, I think that was last week or 2 weeks ago? But we're going to do probably a mid to long nail today. But I do want to use the red forms just because that's what I'm feeling today. But I'm going to take that little tab out of the center, put our little dancing ghost right on the back there. Got our little dancing ghost, you guys. Halloween's coming up, so I got to talk about our little dancing ghost. But that little tab from the center there really helps to give our form a little bit more stability. It's going to feel just a little bit more firm. So when you pinch in your form together, it's going to feel a little bit more firm rather than kind of flexible or anything like that. I'm going to pinch my 2 tabs together at the end here. Make sure that those are nice and even together. And I'm just going to straighten that out a little bit underneath. I'm going to open up that top section too. There's a little perforation right through there. I always like to open that up. Cutie Kitten B, taking your state board tomorrow. Don't be nervous. You're going to do just fine. Just breathe. Just breathe. And you guys, what I'm going to do, I'm going to shorten this up. So I'm just kind of pinching the end of that form just a little bit. You can kind of see from this angle. So now it's just going to be a little bit shorter because I'm not going to be using that full length of the form here. We're just going to bring that right up under the nail. And I'm going to turn this from the side. I always like to show you guys the side angle of this when I'm putting my forms on. Because what I do is I will start kind of at a downward angle with my form, catch it right up underneath that free edge. Let me come in a little bit closer. Okay, so again, catch it right under that free edge at a slight downward angle, and then start to just lift up until that form gets right up flush underneath that natural nail. I'm going to turn this on straight on. You guys, that is definitely crooked, so I need to make sure that I straighten that out, but making sure that is straight out from my free edge. And we're just going to pinch that together underneath. So at this point, you guys, you can see straight down the barrel, I don't have any gap or anything between that form and that natural nail. I want to make sure that there's no pucker underneath there, there's no gap, there's nothing like that. And that's just a minor little gap. There's nothing like that, there's nothing crooked, there's nothing separated. Okay, I want to make sure that that form is completely flush up underneath that natural nail. So this way our when we sculpt out our gel, that gel is not going to run underneath that natural nail. It's going to stay right on the surface of our form here. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to check, make sure our form is nice and straight on here. Make sure everything is pinched together underneath. And you guys, I do like to come underneath here and just give that a little bit more of a pinch so it's a little bit more secure and it's a little bit of a tighter C curve. If you don't pinch underneath there, your form kind of flares out just a little bit. So make sure, give that a little pinch, make sure it's nice and tight underneath there, and that you're going to have a really good structure and good shape to your C curve. Thank you so much, Jasmine. I appreciate your comment. Okay, products that we are going to use today. Oops, you know what? Let me grab one of my newer tube. You guys, I finally ordered my products. So those of you that were working with me the past couple of weeks and you saw my products were getting a little bit low in the tube, I did finally order my new clear Sculptor and my Build Pink in the precision tube. So this is what we're going to be using for the most part today. And I'm going to start with our clear Sculptor in the tube, and we will create our free edge. So let me come back in here for you, get you a good view. So I'm going to start by just squeezing out a little bit of that clear Sculptor right up onto my form, but connecting to my natural nail, bringing that right across. And then I'm going to come back to the center. Now at this point, you guys, there's a couple of options. You could either just kind of start swinging that nozzle across that form, kind of back and forth, and just kind of dragging that product down there. Otherwise, something that I've kind of been doing a little bit more of lately is I'll just squeeze out kind of a good amount of product down the center of that form. And then I will grab my brush. Let me see where my brush is at here. And I'm also going to grab my little tile here. You guys, those of you that have joined us before, you always see me use my tile so that I can clean out my brush on my tile, get rid of any extra glitter, any extra gels that might be in my brush. And yep, I have a few little pieces of glitter in that brush, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. But I'm going to take my brush and just start by kind of pulling some of that product down, and then just kind of using a circular motion with my brush, bringing that product out to the side. And using those lines on my form, you can see there's those dark, let's see if I can, there we go. You can see those dark red lines. That's what I'm going to use as my guide, because I'm going to make a stiletto, well, a stiletto almond kind of a shape. So I'm going to use those kind of as my guide to build out my free edge. I think I have a little bit more product than what I needed here. So let me just take a little bit of that off, again, wiping that onto my tile. And I don't want to make my free edge very thick. I'm just trying to create a platform. If I do make this too thick, then I don't have a whole lot of room to add in my colors and my glitters and still have enough space to be able to encapsulate those and cover those with gel. Okay, so make sure that when you're creating your free edge, you're keeping it nice and thin. Now at this point, I'm going to clean up my side. So I'm going to turn my brush around. I'm going to use the edge of my brush, and I'm just going to use that edge of my brush to kind of pull the edge of that product straight back. Okay, maybe that wasn't quite straight. So I'm going to turn my brush back around and pull that forward. So that way I'm really straightening out my edges here and my lower arch. So when I go to do my filing, I'm not going to have a whole lot of filing to do. Same thing on the other side. I'm going to just pull my brush back using the edge of my brush to bring that product right back up into this little corner here. Clean out my brush, and then if you still need to clean up that anymore, just pulling that straight down that lower arch. Okay? All right, I think we're going to be good with that, just kind of checking from side to side. I'm going to get this into my light, and we're going to freeze that into place for about 30 seconds. So just enough to kind of set that into place and freeze that product. Now you guys, make sure that you don't have your brush or your tile or anything else in front of your light that could possibly cure, because that light still does come outside of that little, kind of that light box. So anything that's outside here still can hit that light and it can cure. And if you've been using gels at all, if you have been, well, if you're using gels, you want to make sure that you're not curing that gel in your brush, because once you do cure that gel, it's set. It's not going to be able to dissolve in acetone or anything like that. So make sure you keep anything away from the light that you don't want to cure. All right, let's see here. Let me grab my next product that I'm going to be using is our base gel. And base is our foundation. So base is what we use to have the best bond. So if you were to just go right into trying to build the nail with, say, that clear Sculptor right up in through that natural nail, it's not going to have as good of a bond as your base is going to have. So let me come back over here a little bit. There we go. So base, I'm going to just kind of drag my brush through, pick up a little bit. I don't need a lot of the product because with this, I'm not trying to build up any structure. I'm just trying to coat that natural nail, okay? I'm going to use a little bit of pressure with my brush, kind of pushing that down in there. Whoops, minus that little extra piece of glitter that's still stuck in my brush. That may be giving you a hint as to what colors I'm going to be using today. But just pressing my brush down, really working that base layer down into kind of the little nooks and crannies of my natural nail, really working that down into that nail. And then I'll take a little bit more base on my brush, so just a little bit of a pearl right on the end there, and I'm just going to kind of dab that right across that connection where that natural nail meets the form. This is going to even out that connection, and it's also going to make sure that it's sealed from the form, what's on the form, to what's on the nail, okay? And then we'll get this back into our light. This is going to go in for another 30-second freeze, and again, just setting that into place. Sandra's asking, what is the best way to clean the brush after using gel? Great question. And all I usually do to clean my brush, let me come back down here, is I'll take a little bit, I usually have the base gel on my table, so I usually will just grab a little bit of that base gel, put that onto my tile, and just start to kind of work that through my brush. Now I like to use a thinner gel when I'm cleaning my brush because you can start to see that gel is going to kind of work into the brush, but then it's also going to start to pull out those little pieces of glitter, or if you had any other colors in there, it's going to really start to pull that out. And notice I kind of work one side, see a little piece of glitter came out, and then I'll work the other side. That way, again, it's going to really work that gel into the brush, and it's going to pull out any of those extra glitters or any additional color that's in here. And then what I usually will do after that is I'll just take a dry lint-free wipe. There's no product on here, there's no chemicals on here. I'll just set my brush onto there, fold it over, and gently just kind of hold that little wipe there. I'm not really trying to pinch it, I'm not trying to grip it a whole lot, I'm not trying to squish that brush. I'm just going to pull my brush gently through there, and that will sometimes pull out any of those little pieces of glitter or anything that's left in there. And still leave a little bit of that gel in your brush to really just keep the brush kind of cleansed and kind of, what's the right word? Conditioned. That's the right word that I was looking for. I'm just going to use a little bit of swipe, or you can use polish remover, acetone. I'm going to clean off my tile here because I want to make sure I've got a nice clean space to work on. And then we will take that nail out of the light. So it's cured into place. We're going to just pinch that form together underneath to release that, because we want to take our form off before we actually build up any color or any design or anything like that. This way I'll be able to see where I'm putting my color, and then also by having that clear free edge, all of our color is going to be able to cure all the way through. So having that clear free edge versus having that colored form underneath there is going to help with your curing. Okay, let's grab some color here. And you guys, the two colors that I'm going to be working with for our ManiQ color is Dragon Ink and Black Label. Now you guys, Dragon Ink is one of my all-time fall kind of favorites. You guys know, if you've been watching me for a while, you know that I love teals and purples. Well, this color is absolutely gorgeous for fall. It's kind of a brownish, reddish, copperish, I don't know. It's just absolutely beautiful, okay? And it does have a little bit of a pearlized look to it. And then I'm also going to be using Black Label, which is a black, but it's a little bit more on the sheer side, and it does have a little bit of a pearl look to it. So that one, it's kind of more of a metallic black. So you can kind of see that in the camera here, but you can kind of, it does still have a little bit of that pearl if I get in really close there. So you can kind of see, those are the two colors that I'm going to be working with here on our nail. And we're going to start by just going to grab a little bit of that Dragon Ink And you guys, here's where you just get to have fun and be creative. There is no rhyme or reason where you put your color, just kind of dabbing this on here, just kind of working that onto the nail. I'm not trying to make anything perfect, just kind of working that through the nail. And then we'll grab a little bit of our black label, kind of work that through, kind of just dabbing this on. And then I'm going to grab my brush and just kind of melt these together a little bit. Now I don't have anything on my brush. I'm just kind of tapping right where the two colors connect and just kind of helping them kind of melt together a little bit more. And you guys, this doesn't have to be a perfect blend or anything like that. Just kind of melting it together. Like I said, I'm going to bring that up just a little bit closer to my cuticle area, making sure my cuticle's right on. I've got a little bit of product that I accidentally touched on the side here, so make sure you guys, if you do get any product on the skin, clean that off right away, okay? You want to make sure that you're not coming in contact with the skin because you don't want to expose your client to any chemicals or yourself to any chemicals. So just make sure that you do remove that right away if you accidentally get that on the skin. Okay, so we're going to kind of leave some of those empty spaces in between here, but see how those colors are just kind of blending together, okay? That's kind of the look that we're going for. Now let's get this back into our light again. We're going to freeze that into place for just another 30 seconds, or really however long it's going to take you for your next step. And the next step is going to be our glitter mix. So let me clean off our colors here. So I just wanted to show you what those two colors were so you had a good idea. I'm going to clean those off, and I'm going to grab a little bit of my clear Sculptor. And you guys, this is kind of what I use when my tubes are all the way down here. It's a little bit harder for me to squeeze this out and have really precision on that natural nail. So when I use, when I'm ready to do my glitter mixing, that's when I use my half-empty tubes. So it's just easier to squeeze out here onto my tile than it is onto a nail. So I'm going to squeeze out a good amount of that gel. And you can use whichever gel you prefer. A lot of times with glitter mixing, I'll use my Flex gel because it's a little thinner. And whenever you add glitters to your gel, it's going to start to kind of feel a little bit thicker. But today I had my clear Sculptor out on my station, so that's what I'm going to be using. Okay, you guys, it looks like there's a whole bunch of people joining us today. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are new to our channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can get all of this great free education. You can come back and join us. But definitely hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We appreciate you guys so much, and thank you for being with us today. So I am mixing in a couple of different glitters here into my gel. And you guys, to me, these two glitters are completely fall. These just scream fall. Okay, maybe we're getting more into Halloween, but I'm not quite there yet. But the glitters that I'm using are Cartoonish is the smaller cut. And then Awesome Sauce is the larger cut. So you can actually see they are the same color, but they're just a different cut, okay? So you can see Cartoonish is a little bit smaller cut, Awesome Sauce is a little bit larger cut. I like to mix different textures when I'm mixing my glitters because I feel like it just gives you more dimension. Okay, so it's kind of this, it is the same color, it's just going to give us more dimension. Okay, so we're going to take our mixing spatula. You guys, this is just something that you can get online. If you go online and do a search for a painter's knife or mixing spatula, something like that, that's what it's called. So something nice and easy. Otherwise, you can use just a regular spatula here, however you like to mix your glitters. But all I'm doing is just kind of spreading the gel into that glitter, getting that really mixed up well and combined. And you guys, now you can see, I always say this, it just doesn't do justice on camera, but it is super, super sparkly. I'm absolutely loving this. I think we are good with that mixture. Yeah, we're going to leave it at that. I'm not going to add anything else. I'm not going to get too crazy because we've got some other things to add into this nail. So we're going to take that nail that we just added our color to. I'm going to grab my brush, and you guys, again, let me clean out my brush here. See that little bit of gel paint that I had on there, or gel polish rather? Gonna just kind of clean out that extra. If there's a little bit still in there, I'm not gonna be too worried about it. Just kind of reshape my brush there. And then we'll scoop up a little bit more of that gel. Now I'm going to kind of add this into those empty areas. So these areas where I didn't have my gel polish color, I'm just going to kind of set that glitter gel right down into those areas. And you guys, you can make this as thick or as thin as you want to apply it. Just whatever works for you. We'll scoop up a little bit more of that gel. Again, kind of filling in those empty spaces. And just kind of letting that melt down in there. Kind of just guiding it into place. Now notice the thicker I apply my gel, the more glittery it's going to look because there's a lot more glitter in the thicker areas. So if you want just a little bit of glitter, let me show you this. If you want just a little bit of glitter, keep it a little thinner. Okay, so a little bit of glitter is going to be thinner. The more glitter the more product you add, the more glitter you're going to get. So I'm just going to add a little bit more right down here. And then I think we will cure this out. And maybe just a little bit more. Maybe a little bit right up through here. And you guys, don't worry if you cover up your color underneath there. It's just going to add to the design, okay? Don't worry where you're putting your glitter. Just make it look what looks right to you. And all right, I think I'm liking that. Maybe I'm just gonna take a little bit of that glitter, just kind of carve right through here. Just leave a little bit of space. Okay, I think I'm liking that, so I'm gonna get that back into my light. And again, we're gonna freeze that into place for another 30 seconds. Somebody's asking, what is this design supposed to be? You guys, this is an abstract design. I'm just doing dimensional work into the nail. So at this point, we're going to freeze this product into place, and then we're going to build up structure over the top of it. So I'm going to use our Build Pink. Now, you guys, you could be using the clear Sculptor if you want to, and that'll be just fine. A lot of times, though, when I'm doing my dimensional nails like this, I like to use the Build Pink because it really just adds kind of a pop of brightness, okay? And yes, Elizabeth, thank you. Trust the process, you guys. Trust the process. I know it looks kind of all crazy right now, but once we get our gel on here and we cap this whole design, we're actually going to add a little bit more of something sparkly on top. So don't worry, it is going to look really, really pretty at the end. Okay, so I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit of that Build Pink right up by my cuticle and just start to kind of float that product down the length of the nail. Now notice how I do have that nail kind of starting to angle downward. Okay, I want to make sure that my product is flowing down the length of the nail rather than back up into the cuticle area. So that's why I'm holding the nail at a downward angle. Okay, if you were holding the nail flat, or if you were holding it at an angle like this, then it's going to start to flow back up into that cuticle area. But by holding the angle downward, that's going to help to keep my product flowing down the length of the nail. And again, not touching any skin, not touching any cuticle. I'm just going to pull a little bit more product right through that stress area. Now at this point, I don't know where my tile went to. Let me grab a paper form here. So at this point, I'm just going to kind of touch up my edges. A little bit of that product is running off the side here. That's okay. I'm just going to kind of bring that back up. And then we'll just set this into place. So again, back into our light for another 30-second freeze. So that way it's going to set that product into place. It's going to stop it from moving, and then we can go through and just kind of check to make sure that we have the proper structure. Now you guys, I lost my mixing tile here. It's over here on the side. So I just grabbed the backing of a paper form if you were wondering what I was using to clean my brush on here. But same thing. Go ahead and just use that tile. Set here. Whoops, you guys, did we freeze? All right, you guys, let me know in the chat. Did we freeze? My screen is frozen. Can you guys hear me? Uh-oh. All right. Oh no, you disappeared. Video down. All right, you guys, hang on a second. All right, we'll restart. We'll restart. You guys come back and join us. I'm going to stop the screen and we'll